Welcome to part 2 of my interview with James Monroe. James doubled his wash and fold revenue within just 3 months of him using the Curbside Laundry's business solution. I'm curious, how did you find the laundromat? Sometimes they're a lot for sale. People go through laundry brokers. I'm just curious how you found this opportunity.
Well, I was driving by this laundry every day to and from work. You can stop in, try to meet the owner. That's hard though, right? Are they there? Trying to time it, whatever. So I sent out a letter in the mail.
Addressed to the laundromat.
To the laundromat, attention owner, and I just typed up who I am, my interests, pretty basic, nice and friendly. This is my email, this is my phone number, and I don't remember the time frame on it, but it wasn't long. It was maybe a month or two, and the guy called me. I did a letter in the mail to the laundromat, and that ended up working for me.
Did you handwrite the address, or was that typed?
I typed the letter and signed it, and then I just hand wrote his address on it. But
I think that's part of the secret too, because when I was in real estate, I found the open rate was so much higher. It looks like junk mail if it's typed out. But I think the fact you hand wrote the outside,
I did.
That tells somebody, it's all these little signals. That means somebody spent time to write this. This wasn't like some mass mail. So you did it right.
Yeah, it worked. I had done it to other laundries too, but that was the only one that got back to me, and that's all it took was that one.
Yeah, it only takes one. What about your due diligence? Making sure the numbers were accurate or kind of figuring out the price?
Yeah, I used a mentor for that, Andy Cunningham. I had known what to look for on some of the stuff, but I wouldn't do it alone unless you got experience. You can get burnt, and you can spend way more than you need to. You can easily overpay for a laundry right now. Yeah, you definitely got to know your due diligence. You got to get their P&Ls and utility bills, and I would go in there and have a plumber look in the sewer with his camera. Like, there's a ton of stuff you need to be looking at. How are all the utilities? I wouldn't just buy one just based on looks. That's ridiculous. That's crazy if you ask me. You gotta know somebody. You gotta pull in all your resources and have them help you do it so that you don't overpay.
Hi, I'm Andy Cunningham. I am a 41-year veteran in the laundromat industry. I have a consulting business, Andrew Cunningham Enterprises, and I'm a broker here in Southern California, helping people buy and sell laundries. I came in touch with James Monroe and his lovely wife, Rosalia. They had called me because they saw a podcast that I did maybe about a year ago on laundromats, on how to buy them. And he called me with the interest of me helping he and his wife buy a laundromat. And we went through probably 2, if I can remember, stores before we actually found this Cape Fear, and it was borderline ZombieMat. We talked about the equipment mix, we talked about the neighborhood, we talked about the competition and who was really a competitor, and then do I re-equip the store with all the same equipment, or do I hold back, or how do you understand how equipment mixes work in laundries? And we basically discussed it, and he actually took out a row of machines and then built bulkheads and folding because he didn't need that many machines. And then he ran into a plumbing problem where they were using a 2-inch drain line instead of a 4-inch drain line, and he had some plumbing issues that I helped him overcome. And then he started to settle down, and the laundromat started to make some decent profit for him, and he got involved in wash, dry, fold, and that took off for him. He recently got hold of me and asked me if what I thought of another laundromat near Cape Fear, and we discussed it, and we put something together for the owner of the laundry. Come to find out, she was completely off the mark when it came to what the real value of her business was, and she probably wanted about, a couple $100,000 more than it was actually worth. So he had to pass on the opportunity, unfortunately, but he's still in the market. That's how I got together with James and his wife in Cape Fear. Most people who get into the business or want to get into the business, I get calls all the time that they want some guidance. And whether they hire me as a broker and I assist them in buying a laundromat, I go on as a consultant with them. And one of the key things that I find is interesting is that you're only a first-time buyer once. And there are a lot of pitfalls, there are a lot of things to understand in this business. And I'll briefly go through them, but I think it's important that, you're only a buyer once. And truthfully, usually, if you own a chain of stores, it's great because you're a seller more than once, but sometimes you're only a seller once too. And I think in those times, as a buyer and as a seller, that you do need some guidance, and it would benefit you to hire a broker or a consultant on the first one, not necessarily the second one. And you don't need them Maybe you don't even need them through the whole transaction, but you do need to help somebody give you a flashlight in these dark tunnels, because there are areas that you can get tripped up in and that you may not be aware of. I go into a laundromat and someone says this laundromat's for sale. I will drive by that laundromat and I will drive at least a half a mile in each direction and look at all my competitors. And then I'll recommend the buyer goes in and does a load of laundry in that laundromat on the weekend and takes out their tape recorder and they record and they take pictures and they get an idea of what my competitors would be if I bought this particular laundry. And then I would go back to the laundromat, and when I drive into the shopping center, I'm looking at, is it easy to get in and out of the shopping center? Does it have a signal at the corner? Is it on the corner? If it is, does it have a stop sign? Does it have a crosswalk so people can cross? I then go into the parking lot. Does it have enough parking? Is it freestanding? Are there a bunch of tenants? And then who are my tenants? Because some tenants are good tenants, other tenants are not so good tenants. Restaurants eat up parking just like you do. Nail salons do. Dental offices do. So you're going to be competing with that parking. And then when I get into a laundromat, I'm looking at, one is, how nice is it? Or how is it not? And then if it's not, that means that I could improve upon it. If it is, that's great. That means I'm getting more people coming in there than not because it's a cleaner place. One of the first things I look at is the dryers. And if the dryers are all busy, if every dryer is being used, that is the maximum amount of people you can have in your laundromat at any given time. It is at its max. The question now becomes, how many hours is that sustainable during the weekend or what have not to be busy? But if all your dryers are being used, you can't have anybody else in your laundromat. That's it. You're at your max. So I'll look at the equipment mix. I'll look at the washers to dryer ratios on poundage. I'll look at the prices and see where they are with my competitors. I'll make notes to see, am I higher, am I lower, am I more, am I less? Is my dry time too long? Is my dry time too short? Where am I? And that'll kind of give me an idea on the physical level of this laundry. And then from there, I'll step back and look at the financials and what do we want to look at financials, what's important, what's not. Utilities play a big role. I usually do a scale and I compare the usages for each month and I compare that to the gross income to see if there's a spike in the income, there should be a spike in the utilities or vice versa. And if there is, then I'm going to find out what happened in that month. Was there a leak? Was there a problem? Overall, it's fair to say that everybody could use a coach, a mentor, a broker in the beginning. And not all brokers are the same. Unfortunately, that's a true statement. Some of them are only interested in the sale. Other people are interested in your success in the business. It would be best to at least get some help in the beginning when you're buying a laundromat. You can reach me at laundromatsunfiltered.com. You can hire me. You can give me a call. We can have a brief conversation to see where you want to go and what you'd like to do, and I can point you in the right direction.
We helped one of our first clients, during the first year of business. We helped their numbers go up so much. And then he calls up and he goes, Matt, we have to cancel because I'm like, what? Wash and fold was growing, his pickup and delivery was growing. And it turned out he made the mistake on the buy. And the owners just lied about everything you could imagine. They're just pumping quarters in. Well, I probably shouldn't even say what they're doing, but the counts he just couldn't trust. And the utility bills, I think they're just running the water for the last 2 or 3 months. If he would have asked for 1 year worth of utility bills, he would have found out that the price that he was paying was not legitimate. So kudos on you of really, once again, doing your research, having a network. I mean, it's so neat talking to educated buyers who are doing the research ahead of time and just doing a great job. So just another example.
Thank you. I'm trying. Like I said, it's only been a couple of years, so I'm still got a long way to go and a lot to learn. But definitely get some help when you're doing your due diligence, because the math doesn't lie, and if you can't prove it, you shouldn't pay for it. That's how I kind of approach that due diligence. Like, if you can prove it's worth $1 million, I'll give you $1 million. But if you can't prove it, I'm not paying that. It's pretty straightforward. You got to be able to prove it. You can't base a price based on the future. It's what did it do today and all the days before today.
Right. We're not doing trust loans. You're doing your due diligence, making sure that's up.
What did it do today and all the days before. That's how and all the bills and everything. So it's a process, but I'm learning. I've only done it once, but now that if another laundry comes available, I'll at least be able to answer most of the questions before I have to tap into some help.
You're living proof of the person who's doing the research ahead of time, having pride of ownership, caring about the business, making things better. I mean, that's what this Coin Laundry Association is all about, and just the network of laundry owners, versus the ZombieMats. We're slaying the ZombieMats. We're making things nice. Why you took that approach as far as making things better? I mean, some people just buy the laundromat and say, okay, I'm going to just collect the quarters.
It's just not in me, Matt, that's not how I'm programmed. There's no way I could leave a borderline ZombieMat in its current state. That's just not how I operate. It's been 2 years and we've done a ton to this place. And I still have a long way to go. There's a few more. I'm still running on 20-year-old equipment, but none of it's broken. All of it's working right now. It's all clean. It needed that TLC big time, So there's a few more projects to still do as far as renovations and stuff. Again, all I did was come in and care. And even today I was in there for an hour and some guy I never saw, he's like, "You guys have new owners?" I was like, "Yeah, a couple of years ago." He's like, "This place is looking crisp."
That's great. And the reviews show it. People appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And it just shows, by caring, you actually make more money.
That's my secret, man. Again, not that that's the only way to make it better, but you just care. And again, we don't do too much advertising or anything. It's either Google, the business profile and your Google stars, or just word of mouth. Word on the street is we redid our bathrooms and we redid all the folding tables and we got the floor done, and all those things matter.
That's the thing. Google advertising is great, but it's the amount of free clicks, if you just rank well, is probably close to about $5,000-$10,000 a month worth of Google advertisements. Every single click is about $5, and you could go broke if you're filling up the funnel and you have to pay $5 per lead. That's a good way of running out of cash. I like how you're kind of approaching things one thing at a time. I've seen people go gung-ho and just redo everything all at one time, and I like doing things in stages. We also had 20-year-old machines, but our pickup and delivery customers didn't even know. So they were Wasco mats. They work great. And we probably should have replaced them earlier because it's starting to take a long time to get new parts. Went with Continentals, and our business actually went up when people saw the new machines. And we didn't do the whole laundromat all at once, because then you run the risk of hey, permits, and this is more repairs, and we wound up getting some new machines along the way. If you do one row or 2 rows at a time, that's another way of doing it versus shutting down your whole store.
That's our plan too. As soon as we can, we'll start doing a wall at a time or a bank of washers at a time. Plus, the equipment's expensive now. I'm just getting started. That's all I can tell you. Hopefully by 2 more years, the place will be completely finished with renovations.
If you're looking at, do I do A or do B first, I'd always focus on the revenue center, because that'll give you more money to play with by investing in great software and a great website. But now you've got more business coming in, and it helps pay the bills for new machines. You already have the 4.5 stars, over 230 reviews. You're doing a great job.
It all comes down to time and money, right, when you're a business owner. So you just got to balance the two of those and just keep moving forward.
Thanks for being on the podcast, and appreciate your business and applaud your success and doing everything right. And you're an example of the laundry owner who cares, and it's nice to see that being rewarded. So great job.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you having me. It's been fun, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Thanks again.
All right, thanks, Matt.
James Monroe doubled his wash and fold revenue within just 3 months of him using the curbside, wash and fold, and pickup and delivery solution. If you'd like to learn more about how curbside laundries could help you, go to curbsidelaundries.com.